It was not that simple. And I think the reason that it's been a successful choice, frankly, I mean, not everybody's ever going to be happy, but the reason it was successful is because it was thought out. It wasn't just done functorily, or it wasn't just done to tick a box, or to be seen as progressive, or to be seen as somebody that's covering off on the bases or anything like that. We wanted, it's 2022. It's a different era than these shows used to be made in. We have an incredibly diverse audience that's in not only across America, but in multiple countries that are speak all sorts of different languages that represent all the colors under the sun. And it was really important to see some of that reflected up on screen. This is a fantasy world. I think if this was a historical fiction piece, it would be a more nuanced discussion. But I think simply because this is a fantasy world, if we believe in dragons and shapeshifters and direwolves, we can believe that everybody in the story is not white. Right. And why we went to the Velaryons in particular was because that felt like the most fantastical race in the show, and it felt like these were a people from a lost continent that we don't really know that much about. We know they all have silver hair. We know they have an affinity for dragons, some of them, and we know they are seen as quoted in the books and in the show, closer to gods than to men. So what does that all look like? And it always stuck with me, this article that where George had talked about at first when he set out to write these books, considering making all of the Velaryons black, and that just as a way of a race of black people with silver hair, and that always really stuck with me as an image. And I said, well, Valyria was this enormous continent, very diverse and well populated nation that fell into the sea. Why couldn't there have been a line of black Velaryons in that story? And in this particular time period, we're not all that far removed from the Doom. It would be believable. And I think if you're willing to take that first sort of leap of suspension of disbelief, you really come to, it feels integrated and intrinsic to the show in a organic way. To me, I mean, I don't even really think about it anymore. And there's so many Velaryons in the show. Having the Velaryon family, having the Sea Snakes family look different than the Targaryens is actually really helpful in the casting and in differentiating people on screen and remembering who's from what house, and maybe making it even clearer that Rhaenyra's children are of questionable parentage. I think there's a lot of visual benefits that come along with it, and because Corlys has such a rich and diverse family line himself, just simply making that one turn on him to cast Steve Toussaint, his entire family becomes then a diverse cast, and it's a really interesting way to populate the show with a bunch of different faces that you may not have seen in another high fantasy show or in the original series.